Hello and welcome to another broadcast of Creating Resiliency. We are here today, all four of the co-hosts plus our special guest, Stephanie Bosco. We are glad to welcome special guests on our show. Let us know if you have anyone in mind you'd like to see here at any time. And please add your voice to this conversation because you are also an important part of this as well. So we'll start with the co-hosts, starting with Lisa. Today, we are looking at holistic health in particular.
I am super excited about this because I know from my own experience that food is just so critical. And when I make good choices, I feel great. And when my choices are a little bit off, I don't feel as well. So I am looking forward to learning a lot more about the possibilities and what we can do to feed our spirit and our soul as we go into this year. So thank you.
Great. So we're going to have Paige up next.
Hi, I'm very excited to discuss health and well-being and mental health support through challenges and how food can have an impact. The chemicals in food chemically change our makeup. So what we put in affects our mind, body, and spirit. Yeah.
Thank you, Paige. Vanessa, are you here?
Yes, sorry. I believe I'm Vanessa Marceau of Valora Wellness, and I definitely think that holistic health encompasses not just food, but everything that we are doing in our systems, in and around us. And so it's the food choices, it's every product that we put on our skins, everything that we surround ourselves with, our mental health, our spiritual well-being, all of it. So I'm excited to dig in and so excited to hear from Stephanie and see what we can create holistically all together of some new kind of definitions or new views on our overall holistic health.
Lovely. So today I would like each of you to think about what is holistic health? I saw you, Paige. What is holistic health and what that means to you? And can health be not holistic? Is that even possible? Or is it a dichotomy to be saying holistic health? Is this something that maybe we just stop using holistic and health together? Is it possible to have health with it being holistic? And if it is, then what is holistic health? So with that in mind, we will actually bring in our special guest for today, Stephanie Bosco. Hello, Stephanie. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
So let us know what you think about the topic, holistic health, please, and nutrition.
Absolutely. So I look at health as a whole. So I think it's holistic. It's just like how some of you had said. It's what we put inside our body. It's the chemical reactions. It's the molecular structure of what's going on inside, but also on the outside. What we're putting on the outside. How we're thinking, or positive thinking, our mindset. How we can shift our mindset in certain situations. But it really does come down to being more conscious about what's on our plate and what's around us. And I'm a huge proponent of holistic health. I've been a practitioner now for 13 years, and it's changed my life. It's helped me mentally, physically, spiritually, just on every level. And I think when we can look at it as that whole photo or that whole picture, it's a little bit more understandable and graspable.
And what do you do in your practice, please?
Yeah, sure. So I'm a holistic health and nutrition coach. I am currently going for my master's in clinical nutrition just because I'm so passionate about how food affects our body. And I've seen it time and time again where 13 years ago, I did a plant-based vegan challenge. And after 3 months, I never went back because I saw that my energy levels had changed. I saw that mentally I was feeling better. Physically, I was looking and feeling better. I was feeling stronger. I was feeling leaner. And so now, fast forward 13 years later, oh, and by the way, I was also able to get off depression and anxiety medication, which I think is huge. And then fast forward 13 years later, here I am. I was able to put into practice everything that I have learned on my journey in 13 years. And one of the biggest moments was about 17 months ago. I lost my brother, and it was one of the biggest shocks ever. And it was something that I could have, gone to comfort foods, fried foods, drinking. There's so many different outlets that we can take, but instead I went to juicing. I went to eating raw food. I went to sitting with myself and meditating and really trying to find gratitude and compassion alongside how I ate. And it made my recovery and my healing so much easier. So it was just a validation, of really a full circle validation, that nutrition works, holistic health works. It just takes a little bit of effort.
And what specifically were you doing? I know you mentioned certain things that you did, but could you give some more details to people who are listening to this for the first time and not quite understanding what it is that when they say you ate raw foods and you did juicing?
Yeah. So instead of cooking my foods, I ate just raw vegetables, fruit, nuts, seeds that hadn't been cooked or roasted. I know that can sound very different for a lot of people, but it is so delicious. It's super filling. I know, when you eat raw food, it does take longer to break down in your body, so it keeps you full longer, and it also allows all the nutrients to still be intact. When we cook food, we can lose nutrients. I'm not saying that cooking food is absolutely terrible, but when you cook it, you do lose some nutrients and some antioxidants. Some things just get damaged in the process. And so when you go to fully raw, you're literally taking a whole food from the ground, and you are ingesting every nutrient, every antioxidant, every cancer-fighting molecule in there that is going to help you be vibrant and alive. And juicing, same thing. You're ingesting a plethora of nutrients that your body can just fully absorb. With juicing, we are so used to having solid foods, as human beings. And so when we juice, it gives us the ability to receive the nutrients quicker because they're absorbing immediately, because you're not having to break down all these solid foods. And then you're fueling your body in a more optimal way. The nutrients are getting to you quicker. And so it just really, really helped me feel better, especially mentally. And, the gut and the mind connection, or the gut and the brain connection, is a really huge thing. And so when you clean your gut up, you're also clearing your mind up. You're setting your immune system up for success, to fight for you like no other. And so it's really quite amazing. And so if someone was wondering, for example, how to start, I always say, when you're starting anything new, I know sometimes, or there's a lot of us that like to just dive into something, but then I'm sure you've realized, and I realized as a coach myself, that when you dive so quickly into something, it's easy to get overwhelmed, and then it's easy to think that you failed, or to make one little mistake, even though I don't like to call it a mistake, but that's what we look at it as. Maybe you slip off and you eat some cooked food or something, or you skip your juice. It's not a big deal. It's you get back up and you try again. And my biggest thing is one foot in front of the other. Start little. Even just starting by adding a juice a day to your diet or to your lifestyle. I don't like to say diet. Adding one juice a day, just so that you get used to that. And then maybe adding a second one, and then maybe trying a 1-day juice cleanse. Maybe trying then a 3-day juice cleanse or something like that. If you want to start with raw food, again, maybe you just try one raw meal a week. Maybe you try one raw meal a day. There are incredible chefs and people and brands and cookbooks that are available to us on the internet, on social media. I mean, we live in a world now where, I mean, pretty much everyone's online, and it's really, really cool. So there is a lot at our fingertips to help us start that process. I'm trying to think, and, you know, and also being kind to yourself. Being kind, again, that if maybe you fall down, you pick yourself up and you keep moving forward. You keep trying to figure out new and better things. You have to try things. You know, we go to school to learn, right? You don't go to school already knowing everything. So you have to just incrementally involve yourself by asking questions, connecting to people, trying. Maybe you make a recipe and you think, meh, okay, try it again. Add a couple different spices, add a couple different ingredients, and see how that changes the flavor so that you can customize it to yourself. But one of my biggest things is just telling people, start slow. It's okay if it doesn't happen overnight. I know we're used to that. We're used to a pill that is going to make everything better. You know, when we're sick, we go to the doctor and they give us a pill. And yes, that works, and we need Western medicine. But it doesn't always have to be the first answer. I always want to go deeper within and see how can I shift this? How can I heal or make myself better? How can I be the healthiest version of myself? And even myself, as clean as I am with my food and my eating, I still realize that my body is working so hard, tirelessly for me every single day. So I still even juice fast, or I'll kind of go back and forth between raw and cooked food. And I'll tell you that I feel the best when I'm eating raw food.
Lisa, you're on.
I just love that you shared your journey of how, instead of, when your brother passed away, instead of using that as an opportunity to go into alternative things such as drinking a lot or eating unhealthy food, or using that as a path, that you chose to lean into things that were nurturing to your body. I find that incredible. So thank you.
And Paige, please.
I think why I so resonate with you, Stephanie, I knew you before you lost your brother, but for sure afterwards. And what you just said, Lisa, when I lost my brother 35 years ago, I was 19. He was going on 20 and took his life. I went straight to alcohol, straight to overeating, straight to comfort food, straight to stuffing my feelings. So I just really acknowledge you and have followed your Instagram page, and we're personal friends. I loved when we were part of the Central Coast Veg Fest. That's when I first met you. Actually, you did a lunch break live on Chain Unchained before that, which was really fun with that great group. But here's what I want to say is I think mental challenge, mental illness is so real. And the chemicals that we put into our bodies, we don't realize. And the food, the GMOs, have an enormous effect on our chemical makeup in our own personal bodies. If you're still choosing to eat meat and dairy and eggs, those animals didn't want to die. So you have the stress and the hormones that are inside the bodies of the animals that you're ingesting. That goes for dairy as well. The mother's milk is meant for the baby cows. So when they can't nurse their mothers, when the babies can't nurse off the mothers, I can't imagine. I have 2 children that nurse for a complete total of almost 4 years between, all together. And I just can't imagine not being able to do that. The sadness I would have making that personal choice to want to nurse. That all is going inside of our bodies. So there's a lot to think about when we think about what we consume, ingest, and the decisions that we make, sometimes, a lot of times unconsciously. And it's now, I feel like, coming out of 2020 into 2021, that we have an opportunity to be more conscious. We have more resources. We have more available. We have things at our fingertips that we can Google and find out information of, cookbooks, books, resources, like unbelievable. 35 years ago did not have the resources, and made just automatic choices that didn't served me at the time. But since 5 years, having been vegan 5 years now, and making those conscious changes, I really feel like I was born again, born newly 5 years ago when I made this choice to change my health, well-being, mindset, ethics, align my values with my ethics, my food choices and food purchases. Yeah.
So Vanessa, you're up next.
Yeah, I was going to say that I've had, when I used to be a personal trainer many years ago, I would have clients who might have had perfect physical health. They almost never got sick. Their blood work was great. Everything looked good. They didn't have injuries, but they were miserable. And they were so rigid with themselves. And it was like this anxiety about, I have to exercise, I have to be fit, I have to be super lean, I have to do this, and I have to eat right so that I can stay this way. And, and I would say to them, it doesn't matter how healthy your way of eating is and your exercise, if you're mentally so stressed out about everything and so punishing to yourself, and where kind of fitness has become something to meet society's values in your mind, which is never going to work because you're not internally replenishing and validating yourself. So I think that for me, you can, in a way, at least for a time, have certain kinds of health that are not holistic health, as you were asking, Dory. I think that there are some people who might even live long and healthy lives and be mentally unhealthy. I think you can have certain kinds of health and not others. I've also met people whom I thought, when I was running an Alzheimer's unit as a marriage and family therapist, I would meet people who had different kinds of conditions, elderly, who had a lot of illnesses, but who were very calm and peaceful and seemed very loving and happy with their lives. So I think that we can have it segmented. And to me, the optimal is for all of it to be united under the rubric of self-care and self-love, where you're doing this not to meet a standard, but because you're nourishing yourself with those wonderful fruits and vegetables, nuts, seeds, like Stephanie was talking about, all the great, beautiful things that we can put in our systems, minimizing the amount of cooked food, because as she said, cooked does destroy nutrients. I know there's a few nutrients for my sticklers. I know there's a few nutrients that are more bioavailable when you cook them. But for the most part, eating high raw so that you can have the richness of the earth as Mother Nature intended it. And I think that when we're constantly looking to, how do I nourish myself? How do I take in things that are beautiful and tasty and so good for me? That's when we have that overall sense of well-being, because we know that we're taking care of ourselves with love and not with punishing. And I so applaud Stephanie and Paige for the ways that you've learned how to take care of yourself and nurture yourselves after such terrible losses. And I'm so sorry to hear about that. But I really applaud your resilience, which is what this is all about. And the more we care for ourselves, the more resilient we can be.
So we get back to our special guest, Stephanie. You need to unmute yourself, please, Stephanie.
Thank you. You know, as everyone said, there's so much truth to all of this. I mean, Paige, I also have been there where I ate and drank my feelings. I've definitely been there, and that's why I can even validate the difference with not doing that and going straight to health. And I too, the reason I even went vegan for a 3-month challenge 13 years ago for my brother, who went into the psych ward, I found out about the energy that takes place with these animals. They're stressed, they're depressed, they're going through things. And, you know, when we go through things, we go and get a massage, right? To release those toxins, to release that energy. And that's not taking place with the animals. And so they're killed and then we eat them. How can we not be taking that energy in? So I fully agree with you on that. I think that was such a great point to bring up. And also, Vanessa, what you said about the people that are so stressed out about, you know, what exactly to eat or how exactly to work out. And that's right. That's making your cortisol levels rise. That's going to lead to, you know, they say stress kills, and it's a real thing. It has an effect on your body, on your gut microbiome, on your mind. And it's not about being perfect. It's about trying your best and not getting so stressed out. I mean, you know, they'll even talk about in other cultures that are just thriving in life. And they're the ones that, yeah, sure, they are having maybe a little bit of wine here and there, or they are, engaging in other activities, but it's this like fun, loving, positive kind of thing. It's not this like stressed out, super laser focused. So I think that that's a really great point. I wanted to share really just some things that help me keep my energy levels up. Of course, food does give us energy. Juice gives us energy. Water gives us energy. I know that's not the first thing we think about, but literally just adding more water to your life, hydrating your cells, keeping your body hydrated is a huge, huge thing. So I start every single day with at least 2 glasses, 2 pint-sized glasses, so 2 16-ounce glasses of water. I like them warm. I can't do hot. Some people can, but if you can keep it warm, it's allowing and this is on an empty stomach after you wake up, it's allowing your digestive system to say, oh, you're putting something in my body. Maybe I should wake up. I'm getting ready for the day. Okay. It also allows some detox to take place. Anything that might have stagnantly been sitting in your digestive system or in your gut or in your intestines, that's something it'll start to flush you. So that's one of the first, and I've done a test on it. So for a week, yes, sometimes I drink caffeine. I love my matcha. I love matcha green tea because it is high in antioxidants, and so it's a little better than just drinking coffee or some like energy drink with a bunch of additives in it. But so I stopped drinking caffeine altogether, and all I did was get really serious on my water intake in the morning. And I found that I actually didn't need caffeine. And the more I hydrated myself, I found that. So I just think that that's really important to highlight. Besides that, honestly, the more vegetables, the more plants, the more fruit that you can eat, the better you're going to feel, the more energetic you're going to feel. And of course, sure, the closer to raw, yes. But at the end of the day, I don't want to make that like the top thing, because I know, again, some people are transitioning from highly processed foods. So I really do think that it's important to say just incorporating more plants into your diet. I know we get stuck on the protein. I know that we're hearing from so many different outlets, you have to eat protein, you have to eat meat, and that's really it's not the case. And there's so much research and clinical research that proves that. So really fueling your body with vegetables and fruits, antioxidants. Beets are amazing for the body. They will give you energy. A lot of people actually use beet powder as a pre-workout before they start working out. So that'll add, a little energy to your lifestyle. And again, it's a great detox. It's a great blood detoxer. It brings oxygen to your blood. I love cacao. Cacao is elevating. It has nutrients and antioxidants. They even have cacao ceremonies where people gather and
So I think Stephanie just froze up. So we will move on. Okay, back. Okay, so we go to Lisa. We've just lost Stephanie for a moment. Lisa, please.
I just got excited about cacao because I think it's just a magical uplifter. I love the excitement Stephanie has about joyous foods that she chooses to put into her body, and the study she did with hydrating as opposed to just going straight to caffeine. Caffeine is my kryptonite. It's like something that I have in my hand. I drink a lot of it, and I know I do drink a lot of water also to counterbalance that, but I think it's a good practice for me to maybe shift that into, okay, let's hydrate in the morning and see if I truly really need that caffeine. So I appreciate that suggestion.
Paige, you're on.
Oh, thank you. Of course, I love to show and tell. So I ran to my, refrigerator and got my beets, And these are, there's a variety of colors of beets. So these are the more yellow. I also have some red I'm going to be juicing later. And cacao powder. You want to get an organic cacao powder. Add this to smoothies. Add this to your morning oatmeal if you like. It's more of an afternoon kind of experience for me, or like in my baking is where I add the cacao. But the beets are essential. I love what she said. I love the suggestions of kind of power foods to give us energy. Yeah.
Okay, Vanessa, you're up next, please.
Yeah, I just wanted to address a couple of comments quickly. First, we have George McQuaid. Hello, George, who says room temperature water for me. Yeah, I agree with you. I think the body seems to like it better. I always feel, I don't know, I don't love really cold water and ice cubes. And he says, yummy, beets and citrus are good together. Yes, beets and citrus are great, especially like a glaze over the beets is fun. So I was going to say that since we are at least 70% water, I think when we're born, we're something like 85. I can't remember the exact number, percent water. And as we get older, we have less and less water in our system. So important to drink water constantly throughout the day. I think that water is one of the best ways of also regulating your appetite and also having a sense of fullness and cleansing. There's nothing bad about drinking water, and it's just criminal that we don't all have access to clean and safe drinking water. It is such an essential need. It's actually one of the needs. It is actually a real need. And then in terms of the other things, I think getting organic whenever you can. That's why Grocery Outlet, I think, is so wonderful, because it makes organic really affordable to a lot of people. It has a lot of options for produce, and you can always get, I wish they didn't package it in plastic, but you can always get large bags of frozen organic vegetables and fruit if you don't find or can't get them or afford them organically fresh. And I think cacao is a wonderful, healing, powerful food if it's just in small amounts, not as a main kind of thing. I think getting a date, if you want a little treat that is cooked, you take a date and put some cacao powder on it and microwave it, and it is just so delicious. Or I blend up cacao. And for a raw treat, I blend up cacao and dates and hazelnuts, and I make my little vegan Nutella balls. So many options to have wonderful, rich, healing, powerful foods that will nurture our system, getting a variety of colors. Just play, experiment. Food is for playing and enjoying different options that we can find in hopefully farmers markets and elsewhere, that we can really nourish ourselves with a variety of different options. And we say, Bobby, hello to Bobby, says, hello, everyone. Glad I caught your live session today. I am too. So great to see you, Bobby. Happy New Year. And George says, blood oranges and beets and some greens tonight and a mix of legumes. Sounds delicious. Not a paid endorsement for GO. And Bobby says, I'm trying to do better on my water intake, and even included my stepdaughter into a water intake challenge. Well, what a great and fun challenge that is. And I always have my water with me. It's a constant reminder to me to keep myself replenished. And when I see it, I think of drinking and just keep flushing out my system throughout the day. So glad to see you all here. Thank you for watching.
We lost you for a while, Stephanie, so welcome back, and please let us know if there's anything you would like to say. No, you were stopped mid-sentence, so maybe you'd like to resume or just go on to something else that you were talking about before.
Yeah, I'm so sorry about that. My internet connection cut out. Thank you for having me back on. I think I was just in the middle of saying that just the power of cacao and how there are even ceremonies where they will sit in a circle and create intentions that you want to put out into the world, as well as something that you wish for yourself, or more than just something. And it's just that it gives you that elevating feel. And again, I love what Vanessa just said about her Nutella balls. I mean, there's so much you can do with food. Getting creative is fun. You know, instead of looking at food like a chore, looking at creating recipes or cooking like a chore, really looking at it like a challenge, like to challenge yourself to grow, to learn how different flavors pair with different foods and different cuisines. I've been so blessed to be able to travel the world and meet so many different people and to dive into different cultures and to see the different flavors. And I think that's something that sometimes we forget. Seasoning, flavors, that's all part of the experience. Adding different ingredients together. And again, I'm huge on mental health. So really that's, I eat for mental health. And of course I went into being plant-based for health, and then everything came full circle again, kind of like that holistic approach of it's for the environment, it's for the animals, it's for compassion for the environment, animals, and myself, and for others. And it's really, really changed my mindset. And, sure, there's a lot going on in the world. Currently, in 2020, there's the depression and anxiety in the world has just raised so high. I mean, I think within the first month or two of 2020's shutdown last year, I think there was a rise in by like 19% of people searching for resources. And then another month later, it went up to another 32%. I mean, that's huge. And I've seen a lot of people come back to health, and it's really exciting for me to see, because again, I know what it does for my body. I've seen it work on my clients, and even my brother, who suffered from schizophrenia and bipolar disorder. Anytime I had him on a program where he was having more greens and he was eating less processed foods and he was staying away from meat and dairy, I saw such a change in his mental health, in the way that he was able to present himself to the world. And I saw him in his lowest, darkest moments. I saw him in his episode moments, and then seeing him transition into a healthier lifestyle changed the way that his mental health showed on the outside. And also he would report to me how he felt on the inside. So I think we really honestly should be constantly nourishing ourselves. I think it starts here with us. It starts within. It starts with our heart. It starts with our mind. It starts with the work we do, so that we can then bring it as a domino effect into the world, so that we can inspire other people by the way that we're living. I know we can go out and be activists out in the world too, and talking to people and giving out flyers and holding signs. And that's a really beautiful part of activism too. But another part of activism is being yourself, leading your life by example, so that other people can go, what's different about that person? I'm going to ask. And then it gives you a platform to talk to someone and share. And sharing, connection, I think that those are really, really valuable things. I mean, the moment I started opening up and allowing myself to be vulnerable and talking about my mental health story, about my mental health journey, I realized how many other people were going through the same thing. And I mean, and that's on a huge scale. I mean, it could be mental health, it could be health in general, it could be work related, it could be relationships. The moment you start talking about things, it normalizes it. And I think we're starting to get there with mental health. I think we still have work to do. And I mean, and again, that goes across the board with so many things, healthier eating and healthier lifestyles. But really just sharing and connecting with one another, connecting with the food on our plate. And, it's all about energy. And I think this is just a nice practice to add into as well, is understanding that our food does fuel us, it nurtures us. And so to take a moment and look at the plate in front of you before you start eating and just be thankful for it. I'm thankful I have food in my belly. I'm thankful I have food on my plate. I'm thankful I have a roof over my head. And so I look at my food and I just say, thank you for nourishing me. A really simple thing, understanding that. And I think mentally that brings a more positive approach to what we're doing in life. So that's, and I mean, I could talk about mental health all day. It's something to me that's very, very near and dear. And there's so many other things that we could be doing to help ourselves and to help others, to inspire change. People can change. It takes a little work, but we can change. I remember a long time ago someone saying people don't change, and I believed it for a long time, and then I realized, no, you can change. I've changed a million times, but it takes you, doing the walk. And again, being more conscious on your environmental impact is really huge too. Again, it comes back to knowing that you're being more compassionate. You're not contributing to the problem. You're contributing to making the world a better place. And doesn't that feel good? It feels good to me. So trying to live a more sustainable life is a really big thing for me as well. And again, that comes to consciousness, just being more conscious of your daily activities. We don't live in a zero waste world, and I understand that. So I'm not saying, don't buy anything that has packaging on it, or, don't do all your normal day things. I understand that can be unrealistic for some people, but again, making small changes. Maybe when you go to the grocery store next, instead of buying that packaged salad or lettuce or the packaged broccoli, maybe you find the section that has the unpackaged version. Or maybe you go to your local farmer's market if it's open or if it's available to you, because I also do know that there are many places in the world that don't have access to fresh food and fresh, so fresh food to a healthier lifestyle. I completely understand that. I know that there's food deserts, and so that's also something to keep in consideration. And again, I think that that's part of being compassionate and conscious, is understanding what's going on in the world and what's available to people. But with the environmental impact, when you go out, again, it's hard with COVID. I know we've had to, even just going to the grocery store, they weren't allowing us to bring our reusable bags for a while. And I know that some people, actually, I know Paige recently just posted about it, and I think it's incredible because people need to know this. When you go shopping, you can bring your own bags, but what you'll have to do is have them put your food in, just put it right back into your cart. You take the cart to your car, or, you have your bags with you and you put them just right outside the door. You put all your food in there and walk to your car. That's one simple step right now, during COVID, especially since a lot of people are not allowing to bring your own bags. When things start to open up more, bringing your own utensils when you're traveling, instead of having to use utensils or bowls, instead of having to use the paper or plastic versions of the to-go items. And I guess right now, especially, if you have to get the to-go box, at least bring your own utensils, bamboo, metal, whatever it is that works for you. You could literally just bring your own from home. But I do have like a little travel pack with a straw and a spoon and a fork and a knife. I actually keep one in my car at all points. It's easy. You can keep it in your purse, ladies. So, just always trying to figure out what the next step is. And again, there's so much at our fingertips on social media, online, people that are educating about this. So maybe just beginning to follow one or two new people, maybe researching into what companies are doing sustainable, eco-friendly things. Sustainable living is really huge. And again, I'm not 100% zero waste. I would love to be, and I every day take one step closer to that with the conscious decisions that I'm making. Even just switching out water bottles, plastic water bottles. Gosh, there's been so many times where I've been at an event and they're giving out these plastic water bottles, and not only are we using, this plastic, which also disrupts the BPAs do make a difference on our body. They disrupt so many different functions in our bodies. But then I would look around and half these bottles were still full of water and no one knew whose bottle was who. So that's really frustrating too, because now we're wasting resources with the water from the environment, as well as plastic that, it's there's not much you can do with it, and it's harming our bodies by ingesting some of these harmful chemicals that leach from the bottle into our water, which then is ingested by us. So having a mason jar, I saw Vanessa's bottle, having some sort of metal or anything, glass, just something that you can have. And again, you can keep it in your car or just at home or when you go somewhere, just to always have it. So really just always thinking, trying to always be conscious.
So, Paige, since Stephanie did mention food waste and zero food waste, would you like to speak about that, please?
Yes, I would love to. I wanted to show everybody how great it is when you put the stems of your kale. This is great for food waste, not to waste food, but to keep your kale, your celery, even your carrots nice and fresh. Your collard greens, put them in there and with some water at the stems, and keep it in your refrigerator. Move everything around, move the shelves so you can have these lined up, because this is a great way to preserve your food. Also, the bags, the various bags, they have, instead of plastic bags, they also have these liners that are for freshening up keeping the produce fresh. I know, as Dorit says, we shouldn't have our produce in our refrigerator for very long because we're using it as quickly as we can. But, there's also, just people making transitions and the reality wanting to make changes. So we want to meet people where they're at. Composting, having a compost situation. You could even have a mason jar where you're taking your food scraps, making a broth from your food scraps to make a veggie broth. Take all the scraps and put it in some hot water and boil it down and then strain it, and you've got your homemade veggie broth. Otherwise, a composting system, you can get one of these. You can order one of these immediately. I got this at Target. You can also set up your own composting situation in your backyard, and we had a wonderful person, Cecily Stewart Garcia, with Full Circle Compost. You can look that up at Move the World. We can put all that in there. So the most important thing is to prepare and pre-plan your meals, what you're going to be having, so that you're thinking ahead so that you're not wasting, and ordering less. So ordering less or repurposing by taking it home. Remember that doggy bag? It never goes to my doggy. It goes to me. Because I'll take that food. I don't let a scrap go. I really never waste food. There's never a time that I throw food away anymore, ever. I make it into something else. I bring it home. I make it, or whatever we have at home anyway. I really don't, because we can no longer afford to just frivolously throw food away. Our planet cannot handle it. Mother Nature can no longer handle what goes into the landfill, exactly the anatomy of a landfill. Everyone should take a screen grab of this. Landfill gas conversion. This is waste recycling, condensation, and Lachat storage tanks. Okay, the distilling basin. I mean, look at this. It's a lot of energy to deal with our waste, our personal waste. I like to say, this land is my land. This land is your land. Your trash is my trash is yours. Same thing with the waste. My waste is your waste is mine.
Lovely. Here we go for Lisa now.
Wow. I love this land is your land, your waste is my waste. It's so true. And I had a big wake up call with recycling, because I just thought, oh, things get recycled. And then by being a part of this show, I learned that it's not happening. And so it really made me think about what I'm doing with my waste and how to work on that so that I'm not contributing to the problem. And it's a journey. Like Stephanie talked about, it's a process that we have to go through. And for me, it's just mentally going, what am I going to do with this? And where is it going to go if I don't do something about it?
Thanks, Lisa. Vanessa, please.
Yeah, I wanted to address a few of our comments first. So we have Bobby, who said, I've also incorporated bringing in a golden healing light energy over all our vegan, gluten-free, organic foods and drinks for additional healing. Wonderful to use that mindfulness with what you were taking in and nourishing yourself with. How beautiful. And she says, totally agree with Stephanie. So similar to my journey as well. Sarah Siegel says, hi, wonderful to see you, Sarah, as always. And Bobby says, our small town does struggle with organic, vegan, gluten-free options being available. That's where I think small towns can develop community plots if there's some land, or even growing things in small containers. You can grow tomatoes, peppers in small containers, herbs, basil, sprouts, microgreens, all kinds of great things from seeds when those are issues, because I know there are definitely areas that do have that as an issue. And so, yeah, those are some of our comments. I wanted to bring up, because I am planning on embarking on my journey very soon, traveling. I wanted to bring up some of the points that you all actually were making about reusable and travel and packaging and all that. And I do strive for as much zero waste as I can. And oh, I love that bed. That bed makes me feel so peaceful. I want to take a nap now. I think I look at everything I purchase and I always think, do I really have to have that? Is there a no packaging alternative? Because as Paige and Lisa were pointing out, it goes somewhere. There is no away. When you throw something away, it's still with us. It's your trash now. It's my trash. It's not going anywhere. So what can we do to minimize that? When I travel, I take a self-filtering. It's a Grail, I think it's called. It's like a coffee press, which I didn't even know what that was because I don't drink coffee. But you put water in, any water that you take, and it filters out the impurities. It's a really, really good system. I had it all through South Africa and Madagascar when I was traveling in some very, very remote regions. And I felt good that I wasn't buying plastic and adding to the damage and pollution on our planet, and adding to the demand for these kind of harmful products as well. In terms of going shopping, when they wouldn't let us use our reusable bags, I would just put it all in the cart and then put it in my bag. And when there are containers and they won't put it in a container for me, like say I have a refillable shampoo or some product or whatever, I would use a cup and have them pour it into the cup. And then I would pour it into my reusable things. Or when they can't use my bags at the farmer's market and they have plastic bags, I have them weigh it in their plastic and then take it out of the plastic and put it into my organic cotton shopping bags that I have, so that I'm trying to be mindful at all times. It is a process. We live in a society that makes it very hard to be zero waste. It's on us individually and collectively to be demanding more sustainable materials. And there's so many options out there. People are so innovative. The innovation is there. We just need to really demand that those products be used. They're making plastic alternatives out of corn and different weeds and all kinds of things. I've seen material, they use stinging nettle in Nepal to make all kinds of containers and bags and all kinds of scarves and different things. So we're using pineapple, mushrooms, agave, all kinds of things to be able to replace our toxic materials that we have right now. So I think it's on us individually, but also collectively to ask for those things. And then in terms of looking at my notes, just the idea that we need to be kind and compassionate to ourselves when we get something that may not meet our standards. It's not about beating ourselves up. It's about doing the best that we can and minimizing the harm that we're doing. And the more that we're taking care of ourselves in a loving way, the more we're going to be motivated to do that. And I wanted to just bring up some more comments. Bobby says, yes, Vanessa, we are working on building garden box for this coming season. Wonderful. A garden box is such a great idea, and you don't even need that much room. And growing vertically, there are also vertical walls that you can grow on just outside your building. Just having that a trellis and growing upwards can be a great way. I think cities should start landscaping with edible things. Think of how cleaners and the houseless could be helped if instead of just putting decorative things, we put things that people could actually eat, and we plant, the ground cover and the bushes and all the different vegetation on city buildings and sidewalks and everything as edible things that could be so much more helpful to our society in general, especially because the houseless population has really grown humongously with COVID. So, and their rate of COVID has actually increased rapidly. Sarah Siegel says, I'm going to get Tower Garden. Oh, yes, just what I was saying. Wonderful, wonderful option, Sarah. I think that will be so great. And after COVID, I'll come over and get some of your yummy produce. We'll just swap produce. And Sarah says, hi, Vanessa. Hi, Sarah. Nice to see you. Thank you. Unmute yourself, Dorit.
Thank you. So Paige, would you like to speak about our Zero Food Challenge now?
Yes, we encourage you to take on the Zero Food Waste Challenge for the month of January to eat less and compost more, to repurpose what you already have in your refrigerator, or what you're repurposing things in your refrigerator and making something else out of it, that you don't just throw something away when you think it's gone bad or brown or this or that, that you figure out how to compost it, how to turn it into maybe a broth of some sort. Maybe you're going to blend it, juice it, whatever the case. And we accept ideas too, so you can go onto the Creating Resiliency right here on Facebook and write in your ideas, your thoughts, your own personal challenges that you're dealing with, that maybe we can help you with solutions. So we're encouraging you to jump into our challenge for the whole month of January. We also have Jane Unchained supporting this, as well as Creating Resiliency. And Dorit has a fantastic show on, by the way, on Sundays on the Jane Unchained News Network. Do you want to share with everybody what you're doing over there?
Actually, this Sunday is quite an epic day, because we're going to be doing something which for the raw vegan living foods community is a game changer. It is something that has never been done before, and it's the first time it's being launched from Thailand here on my show on Sunday at 11 o'clock, the Elegantly Raw show. And it will also make an enormous difference for anyone who's into clean eating and non-toxic and less plastic and more sustainable packaging solutions as well. It's actually huge as far as I'm concerned. It's simple, and yet the impact is going to be enormous and quite huge. As I believe that, and I think, and I've always thought that anything that's simple is really where I want to go. I don't like complicated anything, because I think when we complicate, we overcomplicate our lives, and then we move away from life itself. So I do invite any and everyone who's watching to please tune in, because this is going to be a huge, huge game changer. You don't have to be raw for this. Paige?
I was double fisted there for a moment. I've got the compost. I've got my beets. I'm going to be juicing shortly. I'm going to go ahead and juice the stems as well. Just throw it all in there. So that's what I wanted to say. I'm excited about your show on Sunday at 11 o'clock right here, or on Jane Unchained, and also here. That's going to be exciting. Yeah. Woo, 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 woo. So
thank you. It really is. It's going to be enormous. Nothing will be the same after this for the raw vegan community. And I think for the rest of anybody else who eats or drinks, because this is going to make such a great impact. And I would like to bring in everyone for 1 minute just to give a wrap up, starting with our guest, Stephanie, please. And you need to unmute as well, Stephanie.
Oops, sorry. Yes, thank you so much again for having me. And all of you have said some amazing things. And I think that, just coming down to simplicity, Dorit, you said it, it's, not overcomplicating, putting one foot in front of the other, trying to be as conscious as mindful as possible. And trying to make a good impact, trying to have compassion for yourself and others. And I think having a challenge in your life, like the two of you are doing, I think that's amazing because it helps people stay accountable. When you're starting to feel like you might fall off, someone will encourage you to keep going, or there'll be a resource there that makes it a little bit easier for you than just, trying to figure it out in your mind. So just always trying to stay connected, looking for more resources, being kind to yourself and others, understanding that mental health happens. We are human. We have ups and downs. Life happens, and it's just, how do you become more resilient? How do you react with situations and move on more positively? So thank you so much for having me and everything that everyone contributed today.
That's exactly the question, Stephanie. How do we become more resilient? Thank you for that. And thank you for being here today. Lisa.
Yes, I just love just everything that everybody shared. Everybody had such different things. I think about with Vanessa and the idea of, why are we doing decorative plants when we could be feeding people? And my God, that just really struck me about our choices, and also just about nourishing our body, hydrating, and really minimizing that waste. It can really just have such an impact. We are not an island. Everything we do affects everybody. And so the more we can be kind to ourselves, be kind to our planet, the better the world can be. So thank you.
Paige?
Your waste is my waste is your waste, from California to New York Islands to the land of forest to the Gulf Stream. Your waste is my waste too. Boom, boom, boom. I want to say something on more of a serious note. I have not had a dark day, like the kind of day that I couldn't get out of bed. I do have days where it makes me very sad when I think about the animals, but I get motivated to get up and get going. But I've not had that kind of dark day because it runs in my family. Depression runs in my family. And I do think it's chemical imbalance. Personally, this is my personal views since I went vegan. And I really honestly mean that. I mean, I may sound like I'm an evangelist for veganism, but I really believe mental health is so essential. If I'm debilitated in bed and I'm thinking about ending it, okay, and I mean that in the most kind way, then I am not doing myself or anyone else. And I really have a heart for. So I wanted to actually make a note that there's a phone number I'm going to put in here. There's two phone numbers. There's a 1-800 suicide prevention line, which I've called for other people when people have been when they have been at their wits' ends. And there's also a phone number for activists as well through vegan spirituality. So we are going to put those resources in here. Those of you that are watching, I mean, this show reaches so many different people. And to the vegans out there, there's a phone number specifically for you, for your activism. It's totally real. We feel what the animals feel. For everyone, there's an 800 number to call. And you can call anonymously and get support that you need. But sometimes it's just having a conversation that says something along the lines of, am I crazy to think this is a really tough time? And to know that you are not crazy. This is one of the toughest times I've ever been through in my entire life. And imagine as a globe, we are going through a pandemic of all kinds of sorts. So we hear you, we love you, and we encourage you to eat more whole plant food, organic and nutritious.
Thank you, Paige. Vanessa, please.
Yes, I wanted to coin a phrase that I just thought of when Paige said that she's an evangelist. I want to coin the term vegangelist. So just want to put it out there. I'm coining vegangelist because to me, I do want to share a message of love and compassion in a kind and healing way, because I do feel like that is going to help heal the planet. We have so many issues going on. And as a psychotherapist, I always go back to the mental health issues, the self-esteem issues, how we're treating ourselves. When we treat ourselves well and lovingly and with compassion, we're that way with others. We don't have all that rage and anger that we need to vent out on other people. And I think when we look at our unstable political system, we see a perfect example of somebody with poor self-esteem and all the havoc that can wreak in such a widespread way when we encounter that. So I think that we have to start. Yes, thank you, Bobby. She just wrote out the vegangelist. Thank you. And she also says that I went vegan and felt better, but it was when I went gluten-free that made a tremendous difference for my bad days. I think the fewer toxins that we have in our system, whether they be literal toxins from our food, clothing, air, furniture, all of that, or our toxic, like hate-filled ways of thinking towards ourselves, I think when we really are eliminating those toxins and filling it with more positive, loving, caring energy, that's how we get ourselves on the road to sustaining ourselves, to weather all the difficult things that are going to happen, to allow ourselves to go through grief when we need to, or weather whatever happens and know that we're going to be okay because we are sustaining and supporting ourselves.
Thank you, everyone. With that, we are finished today because we are running over time. I see we have more comments. Sorry, we've run out of time. We'll get back into the feed afterwards, the comment feed, and we can respond there. Thanks, everyone, for joining us, and especially to our special guest today, Stephanie Bosco, and to Paige for bringing Stephanie on. And next week, we continue here every week at 11 o'clock. And we look forward to seeing you and hearing your voice. Until then.
At 12 o'clock Pacific time.
Thank you. Bye.